Welcome to the real-time B2B customer intent presentation at Thomasville Chamber of Commerce. I'm Israel Kloss with Findable Consulting. I'm going to walk you guys through a PowerPoint basically of my largest visited, most popular and shared LinkedIn post ever 2 weeks ago. So this presentation was planned before that happened. Then that happened, and I said, whoa, this is really important to business owners. So we're going to pivot part of this and make it bigger than it was going to be, because I did something new and I posted it to LinkedIn, and it became much bigger than what Keith had booked me for originally, which was to teach you guys about just Clearbit. But we're going to get bigger than that. So here's the post where you can see kind of down here in the red, that's the largest impressions I've ever had on LinkedIn. And it's one of my largest shares ever. I mean, you can look back for the last year, it just peaks out right there. So like, I realized I'd hit an important topic, and you can see some of the images. There's just this image here makes it really simple. People grasp it. They're like, yes, this is a CEO's dream workflow to identify your customer interest and identify your ideal customer's intent. So we'll go into what intent data is and why this post probably really resonated so much. So here's the 3 technologies I use to stream together information that in the end really is about your customers. It's Seamless.ai, Clearbit, and Zapier. So these are descriptions of what they do. Seamless.ai is a sales intelligence tool that helps sales reps, or any of us, quickly find contact information. And I'll send you guys this PowerPoint too if you want it at the end. Clearbit, it's a customer intelligence platform that provides companies with accurate and up-to-date data on their customers and prospects, and that trails off, should say, from their website data. So that's actually what I was showing over here. I'll just go over real quick. This is Clearbit, and this is the Thomasville Chamber of Commerce visitors by company name. Sometimes you can obfuscate that by using a VPN. So these are companies that are not hiding their company name, basically, by not using a VPN. And Zapier is a tool that integrates all up to 5,600 right now, I think, is how many companies they have, of companies' data through APIs like Seamless and Clearbit. So if you imagine 5,600 tools that Zapier connects together and lets talk to each other. So that's really important for what I do. Zapier is the only reason this workflow could have been created next. So I basically created an integrated customer intelligence system connecting Seamless.ai, Clearbit, Zapier AI, and ChatGPT. It created a user buyer likelihood, affinities, and icebreakers for effective cold contact outreach. And that's the part that ChatGPT really excels at, is that icebreakers for effective cold contact outreach. It actually excels at a lot of things, but for this workflow, that's where ChatGPT comes in at the end. So it starts up here with that new company. So in Seamless.ai, which I'll show you, there it is. Some of you are in there, and I put together a little list of you. This tool lets me kind of drill in to the company information, learn about you, learn about what technologies your website uses. And then this intent data tab is a very important one. It's locked in the case of Gray's Way, and I have intent data inside Seamless that I'll show you. But it's not intent data that Grazeway has ever shown. So intent data is the signals on the internet that we give to companies like Amazon by buying something. So when we go to their website, that's how it knows, people like you also bought this product and this product and this product next. So when you're logged in, it knows your history, your purchase history, and knows that people bought this other product. People like you that have made a purchase of this grab bag of products, like to buy this one next, tend to do that. Well, on the internet, we all have cookies, it's called, and there's things called cookie pools, and you see those surprising ads that follow you around when you go shopping for shoes. You go to a website, you CNN, and it's unrelated. CNN's part of a cookie pool in the back end connected and saying the person at this cookie ID just bought shoes on Nike.com. Try to sell them socks. So that kind of called market basket analysis is out there in cookie pools that the internet uses all over the place, and that's called retargeting. So advertising companies like to buy the retargeting data from places like DoubleClick and Media Math, stuff like that. So when those ads follow you around, that's what's happening. So that intent data, I'm going to actually show you. Well, I'll do that later. Actually, I'll show you some examples of intent data later. But you saw seamless.ai just now. That's where I add any of those companies like Grazeway. I would add it to a list inside seamless.ai. That triggers, this is a Zapier picture, by the way. This is a picture from inside Zapier. It starts, I told Zapier, start with this program, logged into it, gave the credentials to Zapier. Zapier monitors anytime I add a new company to a list. So let's say I added Grazeway to a list. It triggers this step. Inside this step is a trigger that says, go to this step, look for a company on Clearbit. So let's say Grazeway was there. On Clearbit, let's say this first one was Grazeway, and they had been to the Thomasville Chamber of Commerce website. Then Clearbit says, hey, that Grazeway entry in seamless.ai was also just on your website. Pow, pass it over to AI by Zapier. And here I told Zapier, tell me whenever a company I add to a seamless.ai list was on the website. Matches them and sends me an email. So we'll stop there and we'll look at look at the step-by-step and not go any farther with that one. So add a specific company with intent to a monitored list. Then we're on this step here, AI by Zapier, the data analysis and buyer likelihood scoring. So then it took, let's say in this case, Grazeway, and says, what's the likelihood that Grazeway would become a member of Thomasville Chamber of Commerce? Then scores it, passes it over to ChatGPT, where it does a buyer, what's the likelihood, what's ChatGPT think is the likelihood of Grazeway becoming a customer of or a member of Thomasville Chamber of Commerce. And then send all this information via Zapier email to my personal email address. So that's the whole flow. In this case, I had this Ontario government. The government of Ontario was showing proclivity for a product that I was doing that I had done some research on. So I added it here to seamless.ai. Then in Clearbit, that's the next step. That's the second stage over here where the red arrow is. And then this actually was one of my first matches ever, was my research on Government of Ontario matched Government of Ontario hitting my website, my client's website that I was working on this for. It says down here, match entry, seamless.ai has a company called Government of Ontario that you researched, and Clearbit found Ontario government. Well, it's smart enough to make that a match. match 100%. So then it went on to say, what's the likelihood that government of Ontario would purchase X from X? I'm just hiding the product name here. Each of you have a product or a service that you could get a likelihood score that a individual corporation likelihood of purchasing from you is. And I've run a few simulations of this and found that I agreed with the AI's assessment on which companies were most likely to buy from the companies I was actually delving into their leads. So I'm hiding the identities here, but Y is involved in nursing, continuing education, often promoting health and wellness. This is a prospect of the company I was researching. Organic foods could align with holistic approach to health. Local supply preference, being located in your state, hiding the state again, they might favor sourcing local organic foods for educational programs and wellness initiatives. So they basically scored this. This is not government of Ontario, but that's a good example. It is a good example still that this could be scoring government of Ontario at a 65% likelihood of purchasing X from this company. So then it gives you sales susceptibility tactics too. And I can give you guys any of the prompts that generated this, that it told ChatGPT, or you could use Minstrel, Llama, Perplexity, Gemini. All those AI products can do this. Some are better than others. It depends on what you're looking for. The prompt I gave it is what it's responding to here. So it's saying, okay, you told me earlier when I get a prospect that matches between Seamless.ai and Clearbit, give you a sales susceptibility that they would buy X from X. Real-time intelligence benefits. Know your potential customers, help sales teams close more significant opportunities, prioritize sales outreach based on real-time data, enhance prospecting and lead qualification. So I did this for a major university once before AI existed, and it boosted their, was for an advancement office. It boosted their prospect donations by 30%. When I gave them alerts on the visitors to the website by individual name. Now, individual identifiers are restricted for European visitors under GDPR, but in America, you still have that right if they've given you their company information and they're in your database and you send them an email, you know who opened that email because they subscribed and they agreed to the terms of service. So knowing who each individual was visiting this university's donation page, I was able to pass that alert onto the university donation representative, who then would give a 24-hour cool down time so as not to be too nosy, check in and say, hey, I'm just checking up on your relationship with this university. We've talked in the past about doing a donation for this, and this, and 30% of those outreaches turned into donors. So I knew this worked, but pre-AI, I didn't have it automated like this. So we're really coming down to the last slide here, and then I'd like to maybe run some actual data for you guys. But in the future, I'm doing comparison testing with ChatGPT, Minstrel, Gemini, Claude, and Llama to see which one outputs the most helpful information for salespeople. Doing continuous improvement of buyer likelihood and affinity analysis. Affinity is just a fancy name for people's interests in your products. Combine these results with firmographic data, enrichment for timely ideal customer alerts.